Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is ThePromG. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, as you can tell by the title, today we are going through my 2025 video game collection. You guys know that I am a collector of many things from, of course, manga, movies, records, figures, and of course, video games, which is a big passion of mine. I've absolutely loved collecting physical games for many years now. Since the last game collection video I uploaded, the amount of games I have has absolutely exploded. We've got some rare stuff in the collection, some hidden gems, and of course a bunch of stuff I love to death. So hopefully you do enjoy today's video game collection tour. If you find yourself enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like. It helps the video and the channel out a lot. So without any further ado, let's get right into talking about my video game collection for 2025. Here we are at the video game shelf. As you can see, we have a lot to go through, so let's go ahead, start off on the top here. We have a few video game things. We have the Astrobot DualShock 5 controller, one of my favorite games, had to get this, and the Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and Blade of Light Deluxe Collector's some sort of edition for the Nintendo Switch. Has some cool collectibles in there. But moving on to the actual games, here we have my Wii collection, which was my very first console growing up as a kid. Have a lot of nostalgia for a lot of these games, so we'll go ahead and start off on the side here. We have a little bit of overflow. We have Trauma Team. Before you guys ask, yes, this is in a red case. No, it's not supposed to be. I put it in the Super Mario Bros. Wii just because it looks so cool. Then we have another game here, Mushroom Men and the Spore Wars. Very reminiscent of old Nintendo games like Crash Bandicoot. That's a pretty fun one. And here we have The Last Story Collector's Edition. Comes with some, I believe, art, as well as, the game and a soundtrack CD. So a very cool edition. Now moving on over here, we'll start off on the top with my 4 Wii U games. We have Twilight Princess HD, Wind Waker HD, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and Smash Bros. Wii U. I only recently got a Wii U to play these, so I haven't played any of these yet, but I'm very excited to have found these, especially a little more expensive games for a really good price. Then up here we have Batman the video game, Wii Sports Resort, and Guitar Hero Metallica, a game you should look out for if you find it in the wild. Deceptively valuable, and people are looking for it all the time. Then up here we have Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, Trauma Center Second Opinion, A Boy and His Blob, pretty good ports on the Wii system, and of course Super Mario Bros. Wii, an absolute classic. So underneath those games, starting things off with the rest of the Wii games, we have one of my favorite childhood games, Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga. Put hundreds, if not thousands of hours into this as a kid. Just so much charm, so much fun. Then we have Super Smash Bros. Brawl, the game that got me into Smash Bros. For, decades to come, really. Silent Hill Shattered Memories, one of the horror games, I think actually the only Silent Hill horror game that is on the system, and it's a pretty hard one to find, so glad to have this. Then we have a couple Resident Evil games, I guess more than a couple, you got a few here. Starting off with the Dark Side Chronicles and the Umbrella Chronicles, 2 light gun games. Then we have Resident Evil Archives. This is the original Resident Evil, or rather the remaster. Then in a similar vein, we have Resident Evil 0, which is the GameCube version here ported on the Wii. Then we have Resident Evil 4, my favorite Resident Evil game. I've never actually played it on the Wii, but I've heard that the Wiimote and Nunchuck is actually a decent way to play this, so maybe I'll get into that one day, but gotta have this game, one of my favorites of all time. Then we have the standard copy of The Last Story. We have Mario Kart Wii. Love this game, of course. We have a few Mario sports games, Mario Strikers Charged, and Mario Super Sluggers. This one especially was a favorite from my childhood. I would rent this from the video store so often. I probably should have just bought it. It would have been cheaper, but love the hell out of this game. Then we have some Wii staples here, Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword. Then we have Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. I have only played a few Fire Emblem games on the 3DS. I've heard this one is actually kind of hard, so we'll see how I fare with a little bit of a more challenging game, but I love the 3DS games, so excited to do so. Then we have Poke Park Wii and Poke Park 2 Wonders Beyond. Again, games I loved as a kid, especially the second one. Just going around this open world, making friends with all the different Pokemon from Gen 5, my favorite generation. Just so much fun. Then we have Sin and Punishment Star Successor, Bully Scholarship Edition. A couple House of the Dead games here. We have House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return. Hilariously bad voice acting in this one. And House of the Dead Overkill is also like a kind of bad, fun game, but this one is intentionally bad. It's based off of like a bad B horror movie, and just the dialogue and the sequences follow suit perfectly, so this one's a whole lot of fun. Then we have No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. I've been listening a lot to the No More Heroes 2 tape from High C recently. It's got me wanting to play this, but I will get to it eventually. Then we have Mad World, one of the most stylish games on the Wii. Has this awesome black and white style with bright red blood. Very gory game, this one. So much fun. We have Red Steel 2, another very stylish game on the Wii. We have Punch-Out!, Kirby's Epic Yarn, one of the hardest games ever made. Then we have Xenoblade Chronicles. I have not played any of these Xenoblade games, but I found this for a really good price in that Wii U lot I was just talking about. So it is kind of hard for me to get into long RPGs, but hopefully I'll be able to have the time to get into this one day. Then we have one of the rare Wii exclusive horror games. This is Cursed Mountain. Not the scariest game ever, but has a pretty good atmosphere, and the gameplay is pretty fun as well. Then we have Metal Slug Anthology, very fun arcade games ported onto the system. Dead Space Extraction. Only recently played the very first Dead Space game on PS3 this year, so I'm excited to get into this one now that I've got a taste for the series. Then we have Little King Story. Haven't played this one, heard it's a hidden gem on the system. We have Baroque, which has kind of a distinct spine there. Then we have Metroid Other M. People gave this game a lot of shit, but another game that I remember really liking as a kid. Probably doesn't hold up all too well as an adult, but still got it here in the collection. Next up here, we got another hidden gem on the Wii. This is Deadly Creatures, a game where you take control of a scorpion and a tarantula, and you're fighting all kinds of bugs and snakes and animals. A very cool little adventure, pretty short. I believe Billy Bob Thornton actually voice acts in this as one of the humans, so very cool game. Then we have Endless Ocean Blue World, and finally, Lost in Shadow. Now, sticking with the theme of Nintendo, here we have my DS, 3DS, and Switch shelf. We do have a few party crashers here we'll get out of the way. Obviously, we have Final Fantasy VII on the PS1, as well as this sealed copy of Metal Gear Greatest Hits with the hang tab. I want to get this sent into the graded. Personally, I don't care about graded games, but I got this for super cheap, so I think this might be a good investment. And then the last game here I have in this Ziploc bag to protect it is Complete in Box Black Label Silent Hill 1 on PS1, one of my prized possessions. I need to get an actual protector for this, but now we're going on to the DS games. We'll start off here on the top. We do have one thing on top here. This is the Fire Emblem Awakening little pre-order art book, I believe. I got this off Facebook Marketplace for like 10 bucks. It's got some cool character art in here. But as for the games, here we have my Pokemon collection. We have Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, X, Y, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Moon, and Sun. I believe that's all of the mainline Pokemon games on the 3DS. I really love X and Y. I got like halfway through Omega Ruby and just stopped playing for whatever reason. And I honestly really like Sun as well. Then we have Super Smash Bros. 3DS. There's not a whole lot of reason to play this game nowadays with Ultimate. You can play it handheld or docked, but I have so much time on this game from my middle school years. Super Mario 3D Land, very fun Mario game. One of my favorite 3DS games ever, one of my favorite games of all time, probably top 10, is Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. A children's video game has never made me swear as much as this one right here. Then we have Kid Icarus Uprising. I got this a few years ago when it kind of was getting up there in value, but I'm so glad I paid a little more than retail price for this nevertheless, because this is such a unique, fun, exclusive game on the 3DS. Really takes advantage of the 3DS capabilities, so gotta love that one. Then we have Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Soul Hackers, have not played. Metroid Samus Returns. We got Shin Megami Tensei 4, which I actually also own digitally on the 3DS. I bought it right when, the eShop was going down. I had money to spend, but I actually found this physical last week for an amazing price. I just couldn't pass it up, so got it in the collection now. Then we have Spirit Camera, one of the early games that came out on the 3DS. I believe this is a Fatal Frame game in that universe or franchise, but this one's all right, nothing special. Then we have Fire Emblem Awakening, one of my favorite games of all time again, especially on the 3DS.
We have a couple more Fire Emblem games here. We have Fire Emblem Fates Birthright and Conquest, as well as Echoes. I have not played Conquest or Echoes yet, but I just played Birthright earlier this year. Thought it was really good, but I hear that Conquest is even better than that, the better version of the Fates games. So I'm excited to play this one especially. Then we have Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time 3D, and Majora's Mask 3D. Great remasters on the 3DS, especially Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask kind of messed up a few things, but still very playable and good. Then we have A Link Between Worlds, Kirby Planet Robobot, which I picked up very recently, as well as Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Got these both last weekend actually for really good price. My local store was having a 20% off sale, so I got these for way cheaper than you can get online. Then we have LBX Little Battlers Experience and Shovel Knight, which I have not played yet, but I did pick this up very recently because I heard the 3DS version is one of, if not the best versions or platforms to play this game on, so I'm excited to see if that's true or not. Then, of course, we have a classic Mario Kart 7, rounding out the 3DS games. Moving on to the DS games, we have one up here. This is Aliens Infestation. This is actually probably one of my more valuable DS games that isn't in the Pokemon franchise, but very cool game. Love the Alien franchise. Then here we have my Pokemon collection. We have Soul Silver, Heart Gold, Platinum, which is a bootleg for those of you with keen eyes. We have Pokemon White, Black version, Black 2, White 2, and Pokemon Conquest. The rest of the Pokemon games are legit, but I just got this bootleg very randomly for like 20 bucks one day, and I decided to keep it around. Then we have The World Ends With You. I'm actually playing through this right now. I'm on week 2 out of 3, so about halfway through this game and really loving the combat so far. One of the more unique games that takes advantage of the DS capabilities. Then we have Trace Memory. I believe this actually got remastered or remade on the Switch a couple years ago. Really fun point and click mystery adventure type of game. Then we have Moon, a very hidden gem. Again, one of my more valuable games on the DS. A first-person shooter that runs at 60 frames on the Nintendo DS. I mean, say what we will about the gameplay, it's kind of hit or miss sometimes, but a technical achievement on the DS, and personally, I really enjoy this one. Next up here, we have my Professor Layton games on the DS. We have, of course, Curious Village, Diabolical Box, Unwound Future, and Professor Layton and the Last Spectre. Shout out to Chris, a viewer of the channel who I met at the used store when I was buying this game. Said I'd give him a shout out in the video. Really nice talking to you, man. I have not played Last Spectre, but I have played these three, and by far Unwound Future is my absolute favorite. If you're going to play any of these, definitely go with this one. Next we have Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Spirit Caller. This game gave me so much grief as a kid because it is so long and it's so convoluted as far as progressing in the story goes. I mean, you have to go to random places across the map at specific times of day, and there's never any indication of when you need to go, but you know, one day I will beat this game. It's on my bucket list. Next to that, we have Mario Kart DS, Trauma Center, Under the Knife, The Legend of Starfy. Again, one of my rare DS games, Chrono Trigger. I plan on playing that this year. Have not gone to it so far, but of course, everyone knows it's a JRPG masterpiece, so I can't wait to see what all the hype is about. Then we have Legend of Zelda, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks. And finally, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, and 9 Doors. This is kind of like a visual novel with puzzle aspect. I actually played this on the PS4, but I heard the DS ending is different, so I had to pick this up. Absolutely love this game. Now I do have this Rob here, not to actually play on the system, but actually because I was always a Rob main in Smash Bros. All the way from Brawl until it became top tier in Smash Ultimate. I've stuck by my boy, but we'll move him aside here to get to the Switch games. So as you can see, I have a pretty small Switch collection, but I think the quality of the games are pretty good. So starting off here, we have Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. Got this the same weekend as I got Kirby and Shantae, so have not played this one yet. This Japanese game here is the Phoenix Wright Trilogy on the Switch, which of course it's not region locked, so this is a great way to get all 3 games and play them handheld. We have Disgaea 1 complete. Played a few hours of this. I'm not sure if it's gonna be one that I finish all the way, but I am still enjoying it a decent amount, so we'll see if I get around to beating that one. Then we have Pokken Tournament DX, and my favorite fighting game of all time, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Then we have this big Sonic Mania Plus game with this slipcover. I have never played a Sonic game to completion, but this one is super cheap on the Switch, and I hear it's one of the best the franchise has to offer, so got that in the collection. We'll put these down to the side so we can get to the ones underneath. We got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Owlboy, Balatro. Been playing a decent amount of this recently, a roguelike deck builder that was a Game of the Year nominee, I believe, and you know, I love Astrobot, so it definitely deserved to win, but in another year, this totally could have won, which is crazy for like a mobile game. Then we have Dredge, Metroid Prime Remastered, Breath of the Wild. We have Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. I do prefer Donkey Kong Country Returns, but this is still a very good platformer on the Nintendo Switch, probably one of the best. We have Fire Emblem Three Houses, Rayman Legends Definitive Edition, Metroid Dread, Catherine Full Body. I believe this game was made to test the engine or the capabilities of the engine that was used for Persona 5. And this is a very stress-inducing but super fun puzzle game that has some elements that Persona 5 does. So if you're a fan of that game, definitely check this one out. We have Shin Megami Tensei 3 and Shin Megami Tensei 5. This is a rare example of a game where the characters and story are complete dog shit, but I do not care because the gameplay is so fun. One of the more fun open world JRPGs I played very recently. Then we have Fire Emblem Engage, Super Mario Odyssey, of course Smash Bros. Ultimate, and finally on the end here we have Ikaruga. I believe this was sort of a limited release. It's not limited run, but this is one of the best bullet hell games ever made. Very hard, but you do have the option for infinite lives, which is great. And yeah, this one will just have your hands sweating. It's so intense, but so much fun. All right, so moving down to the next shelf here, we're getting into my PlayStation collection. As you can see, we're starting off with PS2. Also, this really cool looking Kratos statue that I got off Facebook. I believe this came with the collector's or some deluxe edition, but we'll move him to the side for now. We've got a couple of games I couldn't fit with the rest. We have Black, Midnight Club 2, Burnout Revenge, and Burnout 3 Takedown. All three of these very good racing games, arcade racers on the PS2. Then up here we have Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy X2, and Final Fantasy 10. Again, I don't always know if I'll be able to get to these longer RPGs, but especially with Final Fantasy 10, I want to at least try because I've heard it's one of the best in the entire franchise. Then we got Koro Q, an early game from Atlas. This game sucked complete dick. And then we have Red Dead Revolver from Rockstar there. Next we have Indigo Prophecy. This is like kind of an interactive movie type of game. The opening scene of this game has probably left the biggest impact on me from any video game I've ever played. I mean, it is so cool, and the game kind of takes a nosedive as far as writing goes, but still definitely worth playing. Then we have Disgaea 2, Cursed Memories, ATV Quad Power Racing 2. My friend's dad tried to buy this on GameCube, accidentally bought the PS2 version instead, so my friend just gave that to me for free. Then we have Jak 3 and Jak 2. I don't have the first Jak and Daxter game because I have a friend who says it's not very good, kind of boring, but let me know if he's wrong and I should actually pick it up and try it. Then we have Namco Museum 50th Anniversary. Gotta love these old Namco games, especially like Dig Dug and Xevis are some of my favorites on that collection. Then over here we have the Onimusha games. We have Dawn of Dreams, Onimusha 3, and Onimusha 2. I do not have Onimusha Warlords on PS2, but I do have it on a different console, which you'll see in a minute. Then we have one of my favorite video game titles ever, Gun. You know, sometimes you just gotta keep it simple. And we got The Suffering, Star Wars Battlefront 2, of course, a classic, and Crazy Taxi, an arcade classic that's very fun to play on this system. So starting things off on the bottom row here, we have some classics to kick us off. We have Metal Gear Solid, the long box version, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3. Then we have Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas. I've actually never played any of these games because, like I said, I got a Wii when I was a kid and then went straight to PS4. So I'm kind of filling in the gaps with a lot of these PS2 games that I never got to play as a kid. Then we have some Persona games. We have Persona 3 and Persona 4, which I believe is actually getting sort of a remake or remaster like Persona 3 Reload that came out a couple years ago. So we'll see how good that one is. But of course, these two will always stand the test of time in my opinion. Then we got Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2, more long Atlas RPGs. I have not gotten into these ones yet. Speaking of long Atlas RPGs, we got Stella Deus, The Gate of Eternity. Got this for actually a pretty solid price at my used store, so I couldn't just leave it there, but hopefully I'll be able to find the time to get into some of these longer Atlas games. Then we got my little bit of a horror collection, starting off here with, of course, some of the best in the genre ever made, Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3, as well as Silent Hill 4, The Room. Next to that, we have The Thing, which, if you guys don't know, is actually one of my favorite horror movies, if not one of my favorite movies of all time. And my friend told me that The Thing video game is actually a pretty cool horror experience. So haven't played this one yet, surprisingly, but I of course do plan to because I love the IP so much. Then we have Twisted Metal Black, and my Devil May Cry games, Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry 2, and Devil May Cry 3. Really enjoy the first game. The second one, I did play and beat. It is super easy, super ass, but is so funny. It's like a funny bad type of game. And of course, Devil May Cry 3, probably the fan favorite. Might be my favorite, probably is. A little bit harder than the first two installments, but still, the bosses are absolutely great. Absolute classic game here. Then we have Manhunt and Siren, of course, Lil B's favorite game. Then we have Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, which of course are PlayStation games, but I got them here in these custom cases I got off of eBay or Etsy, can't really remember, but these look really nice, like having the long box of versions to display with the rest of the Resident Evil stuff. Here we have Code Veronica X, Resident Evil Outbreak 1 and File 2. Then getting away from horror a little bit, Mega Man Anniversary Collection and Mega Man X Collection. Then moving on, we have some more RPGs. Here we have Odin Sphere, which I actually should probably sell because I replaced this with what I hear is the superior version on the PS4. So if you want this, leave a comment, I guess. Then we have Phantom Brave and Xenosaga. Probably the only Xenosaga game I'll get because the others can get a little bit pricey. Then of course we have the 3 Time Splitters games on PS2, Time Splitters 2, and Time Splitters Future Perfect. These are some of the most fun, best, most innovative first-person shooters you can get in this generation of games. So if you can find these, definitely recommend giving them a play. Then we got Scarface, The World Is Yours. Again, one of my favorite movies of all time. So have not played the game yet. I've seen some of the glitches, some of the memes about this game, but surprisingly, it's actually pretty good, so I'm definitely excited to give this one a try. Then we got God Hand, one of my absolute grails that I picked up very recently at the used store for a very good price. One of the classic beat 'em ups, infamous IGN review, but it's one of the best I think this genre has to offer. Glad to have this finally in the collection. And then we have a couple Sly Cooper games, Sly Cooper, Thievius Raccoonus, and Sly 3. Ending things off with Killer 7, a game I really don't know anything about, but I've heard is one of the most unique gaming experiences on the system. So if you guys have played this one, have any thoughts, let me know what you thought in the comments. Now moving down here, we're getting into the bulk of my collection, which is PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. So as you can see, I've got things double stacked. I'll show you my risers when we get to the back. We'll start off in the front row here with my Resident Evil games, starting off with Resident Evil Origins Collection. This is the remake of the original game, and Resident Evil 0, my preferred way to play these games because the controls are a tad bit more bearable, but still a little wonky. Then we have the Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remakes. Again, my favorite game in the franchise, Resident Evil 4. We have Resident Evil 5 and 6, which I actually have not played yet. Plan on getting to 5 this year. Then we have Resident Evil 7 Deluxe Edition. This game really took the franchise back in the right direction, in my opinion. Super scary and fun game here. Then we have Resident Evil Revelations and Revelations 2, which I have not played yet. The scariest game, I think, on this system, and maybe one of the scariest games of all time, is Outlast. This is the Outlast Trinity on PS4. Then we have Red Dead 2, Okami HD. Who else is excited for the new Okami game? Then we have the Talos Principle, which I believe is some sort of like philosophical puzzle game of some sort. Of course, I have not played this one yet, but I heard it's actually pretty good. Then we have Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, Nier Replicant, and Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. This one I have not played. It got very recently, but I've heard it's kind of like an interactive game with amazing graphics, so I'm excited to see if it lives up to the hype. Then we have 428 Shibuya Scramble, very interesting light novel kind of game that has real life actors, which is pretty cool. This is from Spike Chunsoft. They made the 999, Virtue's Last Reward, some of my other favorite games. Then we have Disgaea 4 Complete Plus, Mass Effect Legendary Collection. The best way to get these games and play them on a budget would be this game right here for my money. Then we have Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age, Shadow of the Colossus. Here is the Odin Sphere remake or remaster that I was talking about earlier. Again, just here, this is the best way to play this game. Super unique art style on this one, kind of side scroller, beat 'em up type of thing, I think. So I'm excited to see what this one's all about. Then we got Devil May Cry Bloodborne Game of the Year Edition, The Town of Light, A Way Out. I'm playing this with one of my friends right now. We're about halfway through it. I have played Split Fiction and It Takes Two, which we'll get into in a second. This one is not quite as good, but still pretty fun, mostly funny. Then we have DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition, and we have some PS5 games we'll just go through real quick. Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil Village, Dead Space. Have not played this remake yet, but I just recently played that first Dead Space, and I hear it's honestly pretty faithful, so I'm giving myself a little bit of time before getting into the remaster version. Then we have The Quarry from the studio that made Until Dawn, which I really enjoy as well. Then we have Hades, Ghost of Tsushima, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So as you can see, I'm using these little Target bathroom organizer things as risers. They're like $3 a piece, and they work pretty well as risers, except for the fact I can't fit a fourth, so it's a little bit awkward, but still does the job. We'll go ahead and get into the rest of my PlayStation 4 and 5 games, starting off with Alien Isolation. This is a very scary, nerve-inducing game. Of course, I love the Alien franchise. This is one of the best games, if not the best game the franchise has to offer. Then we have up here Dark Souls 3 and Gravity Rush Remastered, which is a disgusting library copy. Ugh, I need to get that replaced ASAP. Then we have Abzu, Until Dawn, a very fun horror game. And then Titanfall 2, got this very recently, but I hear the story is actually surprisingly good, like one of the best FPS campaigns you can get this generation of games, so it was super cheap. I'm excited to play it. Then below that we have Battlefield 4, COD Ghosts, Black Ops 3, one of my favorite games of all time. Just had so much fun with the multiplayer on this game and dabbled in a little bit of zombies too, but this was like my high school experience. Loved Black Ops 3. In Advanced Warfare, a game that I actually really like. This was my first ever Call of Duty game, the first game I got on PS4, and actually the game I first started making YouTube videos on, so this game will always have a special place in my heart, and I do think it's a pretty good Call of Duty game. Hopefully we get in Advanced Warfare 2 someday. Then we got Tekken 7, FIFA 15, probably one of the PS4 games I have the most time on. I just love playing the manager mode, and drunk FIFA with friends is always fun. Then we got Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls collection here on the PS4. Of course, I've played Heavy Rain, one of my favorite games ever. You know, some people love it, some people hate it. I'm personally in the former. And then Jump Force, a game that sucks complete ass, but again, is very fun to play with friends on occasion. Next, we got another copy of Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like I said, my favorite fighting game of all time. You gotta have as many copies of this as you can. It's just that good of a game. Then we got South Park, The Stick of Truth. Big South Park fan, and this game is a really fun turn-based game. This makes you want to explore the world of South Park, do all the content, and you know, usually when I reach the end credits of game, I'm ready to put it back on the shelf, but this one, as soon as I beat it, I was just doing all the side content. This one is super fun and highly recommend for South Park fans. Next, we have Prey, which is a Bethesda game that takes place in outer space, killing aliens. Sounds like it'd be awesome, and it is pretty fun, but you know, I couldn't really get into it. Not quite my type of game with all the looting and crafting. It just kind of takes me out of it, but still definitely worth trying, I think. Then we have Death Stranding. I think actually, by the time I'm recording this, Death Stranding 2 is like a week away. I have not played the original Death Stranding, but I really want to. It's just kind of long, so I have to find the time, but I want to see if I love it or if I hate it, or if I'm somewhere in between. Let me know what you guys think of this game in the comments. Then we have Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. I can't remember the artist's name, but the guy who did the cover art for this version does a lot of the art for Vampire Hunter D, which is beautiful. Just love this cover. Don't know when I'll get to this game, but just love this release, this Royal Edition. Then we got some of my favorite games on PS4 all in a row. We got Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, again, in my top 10 favorite games of all time. And my number 2 game of all time, Persona 5. Don't really know what I can say about this game that hasn't already been said. Personally, my favorite Persona game. Love the characters hanging out, and also love the dungeon crawling in this one. Not a whole lot of bad things I can think of to say about this game right here. And we actually have Persona 5 Royal, which I have not played, but I'm assuming I'll love it when I find the time to play it, just because it's the same game with added content, new characters. Then we have the Yakuza Remastered Collection. I believe this is 3 through 5. I want to start off with Yakuza 0 and 1 and 2, of course, so it'll probably be a while before I get to those. Then we have the Danganronpa Trilogy, the Nonary games, which is 999, which I talked about earlier on DS, and Virtue's Last Reward. And man, these are so much fun, like escape room type puzzles, and a very interesting kind of visual novel with a sprawling decision tree. If that's the kind of game you like, definitely recommend this one. And then we have the third game in the Nonary Games trilogy, Zero Time Dilemma, which I have not played yet. Next, we have Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, of course, Uncharted 1 through 3. Love all these games. 2 is definitely my favorite. Like it probably almost as much, if not more, than Uncharted 4. I played this actually last year, and of course, this is an amazing game. Naughty Dog can do no wrong. I don't know if I like 2 or 4 better. They're both absolutely amazing. An Uncharted game I have not played yet is Uncharted The Lost Legacy. I've heard this one is nothing crazy, nothing amazing, but it's just more Uncharted, so how can I possibly say no to that? Then we have The Last of Us Remastered, another one of my favorite games of all time, amazing characters and storytelling. And Nier Automata, no clue if I'm saying that correct, but this game is absolutely amazing. Believe it or not, another game in my top 10 of all time. We're kind of got some heavy hitters here. Then God of War PS4 and God of War Ragnarok. I love the PS4 game, have not played Ragnarok yet, got it somewhat recently, a couple months ago, but I'm excited to play it. Then we got College Football 25. What can I say? I love football, I love college football. Had some great time on this one. Playing as Iowa State, go Cyclones. And then the last PS5 games I have here on the end are Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. My favorite game of all time is Astro Bot. I was just laughing my ass off seeing all the people cope and seethe in the Game Awards chat that Wukong or whichever inferior games didn't win Game of the Year. Astro Bot is totally deserving, just full of so much imagination, life, and charm. The platforming plays perfectly, the collectathon aspect is amazing, just all around a perfect 3D platformer. My favorite game of all time, hands down. Next we got Silent Hill 2 Remake, Alan Wake Remastered. Some people say the combat in this game is a little repetitive and grating. Personally, I think this game is super fun. Not a fully fledged horror game, but definitely has some horror and mystery aspects to it. Definitely recommend this one. And I've heard that the sequel, Alan Wake 2, leans a lot more into the horror, so you guys know that's right up my alley. I'm excited to give this one a try. And then lastly here we have Baldur's Gate 3. I don't remember exactly what edition this is, but I mean, man, this thing is big. Just compare it to a standard PS4 game. I got this actually for like 80 bucks on Marketplace. On eBay, this goes for a lot more, so this was a lucky pickup. Again, I've said it a million times, very long game. Don't know when I'll be able to get into it to dedicate the time, but this is a super cool release with lots of goodies inside. Very lucky to have this in the collection. And then finally, we have arrived at the bottom shelf in my game collection, PS3, Xbox Original, and a little bit of GameCube and Xbox 360. So we'll go ahead and start things off with my Call of Duty collection. We have Modern Warfare 2. This is, I think, like called the Hardened Edition or some kind of steelbook. Has an art book in here as well. As you can see, this thing is a little thick, but it's a pretty cool release for one of the best COD games of all time. Then we got Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3. Then we have the Batman games on PS3, Arkham Asylum, Arkham Origins, and Arkham City, Red Dead Game of the Year Edition, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. I haven't played this yet. I've only recently found out that this game has like a crazy long cutscene, like film-length cutscene, which sounds insane. And you know, Hideo Kojima is an interesting character. He knows how to do a cutscene, so I'm excited to play this one when I can get to it. Then we have Devil May Cry 4, God of War Saga, and the Infamous Collection. Then we have Grand Theft Auto 4, Dead Space, which, like I said, I played very recently, earlier this year. Very fun, immersive horror atmosphere in space. Very annoying asteroid part, which made me want to rip my own eyes out, but other than that, this game is super fun. And then we have Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3. Of course, I've heard Dead Space 3 is not quite as good as the first two, but I'm still excited to play these two games. Gonna give myself a little time in between playing the first Dead Space to get to these two, but I'm definitely excited to do so. Then we have Valkyria Chronicles, Condemned 2 Bloodshot, Hidden Gem, a PS3 horror game, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Haven't played this one yet, but you know, I hear it's decent, and it's Resident Evil, so I just bought it. It was pretty cheap. We have one of the worst video game titles of all time, 3D Dot Game Heroes. This is a RPG that's very reminiscent of things like a Zelda, and has really interesting pixel graphics, a cool character creator, but man, this name is just horrible. Next, we have another unfortunate name, El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron. I think this actually got remastered on PS5 or Switch, if I'm not mistaken. Very cool game. We have another cool, more rare PS3 game with Azura's Wrath. Very short, very simple game. But yeah, this one is very stylish, and I don't think any PS3 collection would be complete without it. Next, we have Warhammer 40k Space Marine. I played this for the first time very recently, a couple months ago. Don't know anything about Warhammer or the Warhammer universe, but I loved this game, and honestly, it might have made a fan out of me. It's a very simple, stripped back to bare bones third-person shooter, but the combat is so fun, and the atmosphere, the Warhammer universe is done really well in this game. And rounding out the PS3 games, here we have Binary Domain, Zone of the Enders HD Collection. Still haven't played the second one. I believe it's called Second Runner, but I have played the original Zone of the Enders, and it's decent. I don't know if I'd play it again, but I still have this collection to have both games in HD. Then we have Aliens vs. Predator, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Little Big Planet, and the Orange Box to round out the games I have on PS3. Now moving on, here we have some original Xbox games. Again, I didn't grow up with this console, but I actually bought one very recently. I've been playing through some of these games I missed out on in my childhood. Of course, we have Halo CE. I played through this very fun game. Excited to get to Halo 2, which I hear is even better. Then we have Mech Assault and Mech Assault 2. Psychonauts, a game that I hear so many good things about. Love this cover art. You know, I could take this EB Games sticker off, but I think it adds a little bit of charm. Then we have Simpsons Hit and Run, which I actually got bundled in with my Xbox I bought, which was very lucky. Ninja Gaiden and Fable. And moving on over here to the rest of my original Xbox, we have Panzer Dragoon Orta, one of the best rail shooters ever made. I mean, go on Metacritic, I think this thing is at like a 90 user score. This is a really good game, pretty short, a little bit difficult at times, but highly recommend. Then we have Genma Onimusha. If you guys remember, I have all the other Onimusha games on PS2, but this is actually the preferred way to play this game because there are additional, I think, locations, armor, and even some new mechanics that aren't on the PS2 version. So very interesting that the best way you can play this is actually on the original Xbox. Then we have Jade Empire, the limited edition, and Sega GT 2002, which of course I got, like everybody else, for Jet Set Radio Future. And speaking of consoles I only got recently, this last week I actually got a GameCube. So my used store was having a 20% off sale. I picked up some GameCube games. Here we have F-Zero GX, which I played a little bit of, and this game is, it's kind of hard actually. I was a little bit surprised. I might have some trouble getting through this one, but the racing is super high octane and very fun. Then we have Super Monkey Ball 2 and Star Wars Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2. I hear one of the best Star Wars games. I love Star Wars, so I'm excited to see what that one's all about. And the final game in my gaming collection, kind of anticlimactic, my only Xbox 360 game. I don't even have an Xbox 360, but I plan on getting one as I play through the Halo games. And of course, you gotta have Halo Reach. So I don't even have this system, haven't even played this game, but it's the final game I have in my game collection.
Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for my 2025 video game collection video. I really hope you guys enjoyed seeing all the video games that I have on my shelves. And though I don't upload very many video game videos on this channel, if you enjoy manga or anything of the sort, I would love to have you stick around and subscribe to the channel. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.